Blue Protocol Star Resonance is an upcoming MMORPG set in the Blue Protocol universe. It is developed by Shanghai Bokura Technology, a Chinese Tencent-owned studio. Star Resonance aims to pick things up where the original Blue Protocol left off, after being permanently shut down earlier this year. It's not exactly the same situation as Final Fantasy's A Realm Reborn, though. The original Blue Protocol was made with PC and consoles in mind, while Star Resonance aims for a more mobile-centric approach. Unfortunately, many issues I have with the game are stemming from that fact. Hello! I'm Kathy, an official content creator for the online action RPG PSO2 New Genesis. I played a lot of MMOs and online games throughout my life. That makes me sound old. I was really looking forward to Blue Protocol since Japanese online games usually resonate really well with me. Needless to say, its cancellation was very disappointing to see, especially after hearing many positives after the anniversary patch. But there is no point in dwelling on the past. Let us look towards the future. I played approximately 12 hours of the closed beta test in order to get a taste of the game prior to its release. While the core of the game is solid, I have some thoughts about the game that hopefully get addressed sooner rather than later. Before I start, let me just point out real quick that the communication around this beta was rather poor. I signed up my email on the official website in order to stay informed for when the CBT was going to happen. Months passed, and I haven't received a single email. Then, after the CBT had already begun, I checked the website, and suddenly it says, in order to apply for it, I had to enter a Discord server and apply for a code. Damn, it would be nice to receive an email informing me about this. I did luckily manage to play the game anyway, thanks to a friend lending me their account after they played their fill, but this whole ordeal left a very bitter first impression. Well, there was an update to that story while I was editing this video. After I was done playing the game, the beta was extended until September 7th, with new codes to give away. Unfortunately, they used the Bleem website, which on my end just straight up didn't work. Every time I tried to do the YouTube and Discord requirement, it'd log me out off my Twitter and Twitch login. After 9 minutes of trying to get it to work, the first wave of codes was gone, at which point I just gave up. Frankly speaking, this beta code giveaway story has been embarrassing, and they should have just made the beta open, since there really is no point in having it closed if you're going to keep failing at giving away keys. It's also not like this beta will change the release of the game all that much. Keep in mind, this game is already live on the Chinese servers. After logging, I had to delete one of the characters if I wanted a fresh start. And, where is the character deletion button? Google tells me it should be here somewhere. Oh, hello, little guy. White button on white background with no black outlines or drop shadow.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Turns out I didn't need to find the button anyway, because deleting the character takes 7 days. Oh well, I guess we'll have to play whatever class this Lolita character has, then swap to a class I actually wanted to play later. No biggie. What is a biggie is that it costs 680 freemium currency to unlock additional classes. Now, I know you will naturally accumulate those orbs from playing the game, but it doesn't matter to me. Locking such basic feature behind a paywall, even if it's circumventable, is a bad practice. One that costs 12 euros if you're impatient, which is what the devs are hoping for here. Had New Genesis locked class unlocks behind Star Gems, I'd have issues with it as well. Alright, let's get started properly. The combat is very straightforward. You have core abilities that represent the backbone of your class's gameplay rotation, as well as cooldown abilities to customize your experience a little bit. You can choose 4 cooldown abilities from a pool of 8, though I have a suspicion that the choice aspect gets removed once you select which specialization you want to follow, since that's when you start getting passive abilities that improve specific cooldown abilities, nudging you towards using them over others. Overall, the combat is pretty alright, but I found it getting stale rather quickly. There doesn't seem to be any counter after a successfully timed dodge, which is a little bit disappointing, and some people who enjoyed Blue Protocol after its anniversary patch say the gameplay has been dumbed down, though I can't corroborate that claim. Now for one of my biggest gripes, the user interface and the controller support. This game is clearly designed for smartphones, and very little was done to adapt it properly to PC. The menus are virtually the same as on the phone, asking you drag your mouse cursor across the screen like you would with a finger on a touchscreen. If you play with mouse and keyboard, this is serviceable, but if you play on a controller, you'll have a terrible experience. You can't use the D-pad in order to move your cursor from one clickable item to the next, like you would do if you played New Genesis or Final Fantasy. Instead, you have to slowly move a cursor with one of your sticks, and if you want to scroll through lists, you have to repeat the same motions as if you were swiping your finger across the screen. This is extremely bad in my opinion, so much so that I opted to play mouse and keyboard, even though I don't prefer this control method in most games. Oh look! Another instance of a white object on a white background. The mouse cursor has a black outline. Why isn't the controller cursor given the same privilege? This control scheme really feels like an afterthought. However, the game does one thing really well, and it's this. If you press on an item, you can ask the game where this item is obtained. This is huge. It allows the player to figure out on their own what they should be doing if they want to get their hands on some of these items. Usually, you would need to go into the deep dungeon of fan wikis and/or ask other players. The music is very pleasant to listen to, and even after I stopped playing the beta, I found myself humming some of its themes while at work. While fighting in the open world, there is even a distinct combat music which I wish more MMOs did, because it's such a cool feature. I was pleasantly satisfied with the music direction for this game. What wasn't as satisfying was the story. It feels very much like quantity was the main focus. Most of the story is presented with unvoiced visual novel-esque cutscenes, and the few cutscenes that are properly voiced and animated are very few, and they end very abruptly.
早く来て!
Sometimes, if the devs can't depict something properly, they just cut to black with text on screen explaining what's going on. It's really difficult to remain engaged in the story, but you can't really ignore it either because of how EXP is being distributed in this game. In order to level up, you'll need millions of EXP. Side quests usually give a couple thousand, and enemies will give you 20 EXP. Story quests, on the other hand, bombard you with millions of EXP. But there is another catch. The story is time-gated behind server age. Heck, even life skills are time-gated behind server age. This is an incredibly bad look in my opinion. It feels like the devs intentionally halt your progress, so you don't level up too quickly and don't reach the endgame too fast. Usually, MMOs do things like that in order to hide that they don't have that much content in the game, and I really hope this is just a closed beta thing and won't be part of the full release. Lastly, let's talk about monetization. I won't dive too deep into the topic. If you want a more coherent breakdown, I recommend watching these two videos. The gacha system of the original Blue Protocol was really bad in my opinion. Star Resonance's gacha is only marginally better. You have an 82% chance of getting some absolute trash. The big chase item has a drop rate of 0.15%. This is less than half the rate of hairstyles in New Genesis gacha, which are the rarest items in each banner. This isn't helped by the fact that you need 80 pulls in order to get the chase item guaranteed. One 10 pull costs 25 euros, so it'll cost you a lot to get the desired item. New Genesis provides a pity ticket after just 30 pulls, and each 12 pull is only 22 euros. So it's absolutely baffling to me how many pulls it takes in this game to get pity, and that's without mentioning that in New Genesis, you don't even need to play gacha to get its premium items. Almost all of them are tradable on the market board, so any free-to-play player can obtain them with enough grinding. No such luck here in Star Resonance. Then, there is the pay to win gacha. Hoo boy! First off, this gacha is hidden from the main gacha menu. They absolutely know what they're doing and how bad it looks. This gacha features human wills, which are cooldown abilities represented by characters from the story. And they're absolutely broken. It takes forever to farm, for one, as a free-to-play player, and you will need duplicates in order to rank them up. The damage discrepancy is insane. Some players estimate the difference in DPS output to be anywhere between times 1.5 to times 2. Granted, the game doesn't have any PvP elements yet, but there are reports of players not being welcome to raid parties if they don't have any of these broken wills equipped. This is probably the most egregious part of the game. In New Genesis, players can freely trade pay-to-win items on the market board, so free-to-play players can access them easily by simply farming a little bit of game currency. We already see how destructive this Star Resonance's pay-to-win elements are on the Chinese servers, so I really hope the devs will reevaluate if this tumor is worth keeping around. Other than that, the game has a lot to offer. There are the aforementioned life skills for crafting and gathering. There is instanced player housing and guild halls. However, neither features are as fleshed out as in other MMOs. The character creator has similarly too few options to create a fully unique character. I only played 12 hours and saw many characters that look near identical to mine. Granted, I am spoiled in that aspect, since New Genesis has the best character creator on the market, but Star Resonance offers less customization than Final Fantasy XIV, and that is saying a lot. And that's about it. Overall, I have enjoyed my time with the game, and I believe if the devs work on some of the game's shortcomings, it'll be an MMO I'll want to return to. In its current state, however, I'd rather spend my time on a different star.